I know I've been critical of Miraculous Ladybug as a whole, but I've always had a soft spot for the Miraculous World specials. Sure, they're a bit cheesy and have a ton of missed potential because they are specials, but they are stunning to watch. This one opens up right after Destruction, and Adrien is doing his usual thing of moping around. His reasons for moping around are a bit more understandable. He did just Cataclysm Monarch after all. It's moments like these where I wish they didn't make him sleep through the entire finale to actually give him an arc and not be this. Anyways, the impetus of this special is rather simple. An alternate version of Gabriel called Betterfly uses his Akuma, I know they call it something like a Kumiko, but Akuma rolls off the tongue easier, to travel between worlds, mainly because his villains Shadybug and Cat Noir are not too far behind. And then we get some lore about the nature of the Clawmies. Apparently they exist through every parallel universe simultaneously and live through those lives at the same time. Tiki goes so far as to say she lived billions of years in each of these billions of universes. A few questions. What? Why would you even establish this as lore? Why would you say that Tiki is aware of every single parallel universe to the extent that she says, oh yeah, I lived these lives a billion times across a billion years? Why would you go and not use this knowledge to your advantage? The odds of another Gabriel Agreste winning are pretty high in the concept of infinity. There has to be some other universe where they could beat him, albeit more ideally than the main universe. Wait, does the movie version count as one of these alternate realities? I see it the same way as I see the Holdo maneuver. It looks good, it's logical that big ship moves fast does a ton of damage, it's also logical that the embodiment of creation exists wherever there is creation. This, however, is a narrative, and narrative needs stakes. All they do by bringing this up is that it just declaws the stakes a bit more and makes the heroes come off as fools. After all, if you're going to introduce a concept into a story, you might as well use it, and they will never use this again, unless they do another multiverse special. So Marinette suits, and she begins her fight. I do like Cat Noir's staff turns into a nunchaku that's cat-themed, it's just hilarious. And when Cat Noir finally arrives, Adrien cataclysms his counterpart, which is nice, especially since he just cataclysmed Monarch like an episode before this. Would be really nice if this was an actual arc and not just make Adrien angsty button all the time. Seriously, I think they only do the he kills a person or maims them with cataclysm just to make him angsty and not actually give him a story behind it. Speaking of Adrien, at least he figured out that these guys were from an alternate universe without having it dictated to him, which was nice. Naturally, we get the backstory in a constant set piece in the show, the Parisian sewers. We learn the backstory of Betterfly. He was a version of Gabriel Agreste who once served Supreme, the ultimate evil ruler of his world, and helped secure his power base. He eventually stole the Peacock and Butterfly Miraculouses to use against Supreme, although Supreme doesn't seem to know his identity because he is still a fashion designer in his world. Meanwhile, Shadybug and Cat Noir are at Marinette's room, and Shadybug tries to make a wish. Points for trying to use the super weapon they have, but the issue becomes apparent because only Supreme can define reality. I question this, but it's obvious tease for future Miraculous multiverse specials. Okay, so here's where they get together and make the convoluted plan because Monarch ends up contacting both Shadybug and Cat Noir, and they decide to work together. Blah blah Ladybug plan, blah blah Adrien versus Adrien cat puns. In terms of Talk no Jutsu, which obviously was going to be used to take down Shadybug and Cat Noir, I'm going to have to hand the point to Adrien, because Adrien's Talk no Jutsu wins out the best. The death of Emily Agreste affected characters differently. In the main universe, Adrien could move on, but Gabriel couldn't, but the opposite was true in the alternate universe. The fact that Emily's death is already a big motivator for Gabriel in the main universe helps give this conversation some massive impact and a single point of focus. It's stronger than what happens between the Marinettes, because Shadybug, in her world, everything seemed to go wrong for her. Which, yeah, it's tragic, but at the same time, we don't have that focus that helps Adrien's story. While the two let go of their evil, the plot isn't over just yet. Monarch is still active and decides to head to other existing universes with the power of the rooster. The rooster is officially the most broken Miraculous, and I just finished complaining about it, and now I have to continue complaining about it. Anyway, Marinette becomes Discount Hatsune Miku, and ends up confronting Monarch, who proceeds to lose across the multiverse. From the original Ladybug PV, to the comic books, to apparently Mr. Bug and Kitty Noir, he loses badly. I'm a bit mixed on this one. It's a simple alternate universe role swap story, which I do like. Simplicity isn't inherently bad, however, when you're a simple story, you have a lot of points of references to compare it to. But judging this solely on Miraculous Ladybug standards, I'm not too impressed. Compared to how stunning Shanghai looked, this special was just Paris, which we'd already seen a million times, which really doesn't impress me considering we've already gotten a high quality animation version of Paris through the movie. If this was an alternate Paris, I could probably be a bit happier, but ultimately it's the main universe. We've seen it. In terms of character utilization, I feel Gabriel was heavily underutilized this special, especially compared to the other characters of the special like New York and Shanghai. Marinette and Adrien got to confront their counterparts. Meanwhile, Butterfly didn't even meet Monarch, which I find to be a waste. Speaking of Monarch, his threat level in hindsight has dramatically decreased, and he already wasn't threatening. You had Discount Hatsune Miku over here, beating the crap out of him across the multiverse. So in addition to his bumbling in the main series, he was apparently capable of traversing the multiverse and decided not to do it again. Gabriel Agreste, you are a smooth brain. Overall, I honestly feel like this could have just been a two-parter in Season 5. There frankly isn't much to say that makes it special. It's not good, it's not bad. The only person who actually gets harmed in this in terms of optics is Gabriel. But those are just my thoughts on it. If you have any different thoughts on it, please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.